And where we are going to begin is with the Brandon Graham news that he is out for the season. Now that the dust has settled, though, and it's no longer about the 300 yards from Saquon Barkley, it's not about the awesome win in L.A., and you look forward to this Ravens game and you think about the scheme and the X's and the O's and the battle with Lamar. It truly settles in on how much we are losing with Brandon Graham. And I'm a little worried about the pass rush. I can't lie. I finally fell in love with this group deeply. I finally fell in love so hard you have no idea. I am obsessed with the way they run the football. I watch their offensive linemen go to work, and it's so beautiful. The synergy, the way they throw people into the ground. I've never seen anything like it in the run game. So I have been obsessed with that craft. And then, of course, the way Vic Fangio has this defense popping. They play with personality. They play with toughness. They play with an edge. And I finally got to a space where I was all in. I don't like that it took me so long, but once I finally got there, now I am robbed of the Brandon Graham experience, and he was such a huge part to their success. Here's my question for you. Are you worried about the pass rush without BG? 215-592-9494. I am a little bit. He is a game changer. He's a spark plug. He's an energy guy. He's a dominant force. He's always talking crap. There's so many things that he brings to the table. And I know that you can say that it'll be just as good if he's on the sidelines. Not really, though. It matters when you have the pads on. It matters when you're running out into the link and there's so many people going crazy and number 55 is inspiring you when he's on the sidelines dapping you up, knowing he's going to take the field with you. It's not like there's no value when you get injured and you have to lead differently, but there's a cap on the leadership. And what he was doing on the field was so productive that I don't know where they are going to get this level of production from. Now, here's the one thing that's keeping me in believing this team, is I do believe they're a special group. And when you are a special group, I don't know how they get it done, but they do get it done. That's what special teams and special locker rooms do. And we have the luxury of dating back to 2017 and knowing that when you lost Carson Wentz in the same damn building, we were able to overcome that adversity and overcome many more injuries and win the Lombardi. So it's not out of the question, but he was a staple of what they were doing with their edge rushers. He was wrecking every single game. What he just did against the Rams was amazing. And we can talk about adding Charles Harris, who played for the Panthers and had a couple sacks. We could talk about Jalix Hunt and Milton Williams and Bryce Huff, and we will. We'll talk about them more in depth for sure. Reality is, though, Brandon Graham mattered so much to their ability to disrupt the other team's offense, to get into the quarterback's grill. And I'm trying to figure out how they are going to succeed when he is no longer on the football field. It's not impossible, but I'd be lying if I'm not a little worried. I just want to emphasize how amazing Brandon Graham is. And I'm not breaking news here. We've watched him pretty much my whole entire life has been Brandon Graham. My adult life here, it's been all about number 55. So we've all seen it. But this team has turned the corner. They've created an identity, and they've been a full force because of him. And when everything was starting to click, they just got hit hard. And it's on them to respond. Are you worried about the pass rush without Brandon Graham? 215-592-9494. Now, I got some audio for you. I want you all to take a listen to Reuben Frank on his Eagle Eye pod where him and Dave Zangaro speak about losing Brandon Graham on the football field. This is what it sounded like.
Can't underestimate how good he's played this year and just how much they'll miss him there. But I've never been around a guy like him who's so genuine, so inspirational. I mean, he's such a mentor to not just edge rushers or D linemen or defense. I mean, everybody on the team will go to him for guidance and wisdom and advice. He's one of the most genuine people I've ever met. And, man, I mean, I hope, I don't know how it's going to work as far as rehab and when the surgeries, just when he's going to be back in the locker room. And it's tough. It's not the same just being in there if you're not playing. And maybe for him it will be just because of he's been doing it for so long at such a high level. But it's never the same. I mean, just the BG in the tunnel with, the BG on the sidelines, the BG on the field, between plays, trash talking. I mean, so much goes into his contributions, and it's not just being in the locker room. So they're going to miss that a lot. They're going to miss everything about him.
It's so true. It is so true. And I do have faith that they have the makeup. And I even have faith that Nick Sirianni is going to keep them on the right path as well. But I need some help. I'm asking for help out there because I want you to sell me why I don't need to panic at all. And I'm not hitting a full-on panic button. The way I describe it is, I'm a little worried. Jalen Carter is creating so much attention for him that it opens up the door for everybody else. So Milton Williams can explode or Josh Sweat can get to the quarterback. But how are you going to make up for the 20-plus snaps that BG took? And if you could tell me how this is going to go and how they're not going to skip a beat or how they are going to answer the bell, I would really appreciate hearing from you at 215-592-9494. Maybe it's this simple. Maybe it goes a little something like this. Everyone just gives an extra 5%. And then the collective 53 men giving an extra 5% makes up for Brandon Graham. You're never going to be able to duplicate what he does. That's why he's rare. That's why he's special. That's why he hits this city the way he does, because certain guys just are different. BG is different. So it's not really about duplicating that. It's how else do you internally find a way to fill that void the best you can without duplicating it. And if it's 5% more from Nolan Smith, 5% more from Josh Sweat, maybe that's enough. Maybe that's the difference in being able to continue a pursuit. Look at the Detroit Lions. They lost Hutchinson, and they still win. So it could be that simple, where they just have the mental makeup and they have the attitude and they have the desire to do it for Brandon Graham. And that could be enough. But there's just no sugarcoating the dominance and his ability on the field week in and week out to encourage this team and to lead by example. When you watch him do it, there's so much to be said about the energy shift and the momentum that creates for the team. Second half, you're getting to the quarterback on third, and now, you're forcing a big punt. BG's the reason why. He's talking smack all game long. He's in the face of every lineman. He doesn't shut up. He's chirping. He's getting in the grill of the other team. He's in their head. Sure, C.J. Gardner-Johnson likes to talk. I'm sure there's other guys that may pick up that spot a little bit, right? Get a little chippy out there, talk a little bit. Maybe. But that edge was because of him. And I hate that this is the way it's going, by the way. Because when I tell you I have fallen in love with this team, I did a full 180. I despised them early. I didn't understand who they were. I couldn't digest the football every week. It made me sick. And we finally turned the page where I am obsessed with this team. I love the way they run the football. I am so excited to watch the 5 men up front dominate their opponent every week in a way that, while we are spoiled with offensive line play, even this group tends to be doing it at an even elite level for us who's spoiled with it. And then the defense and Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell in this secondary, and the defensive line, who never had any pressure, started becoming a monster as a unit. It was shaping up the way that I wanted it to. I was finally there. And then it just gets ripped out of my chest because one of your most dominant players on the field is now out for the year with a tricep injury. And it's painful. It really is. It's so sad to hear him get upset on these airwaves talking to the morning show. It's so sad hearing him talk to the media, seeing him stand in front of his locker. You could tell that it's hurting big time. And it sucks. It flat out sucks because of how remarkable his game has been this year at this age when it was supposed to be the farewell tour appreciating the final season. And it became, you're a dog still. And he probably still will be next year. Yeah, I don't think he's done. But here's my question for you all. Are you worried about the pass rush without Brandon Graham? 215-592-9494. We're going to get to the phones in a second here. We'll love to hear from you. I have some more audio. Jaws, one of the best, was speaking post-game on NBC Sports Philadelphia when everyone initially found out the news about Brandon Graham, and this is what he had to say.
It's a young defense, as we said earlier in the show. It's the youngest defense in the NFL, and you lose the veteran guy that everyone looks up to. Everyone looks up to Brandon Graham. The young guy, hey, he's been there. He made the play that helped win the damn Super Bowl for Philadelphia. He's that guy. He's a guy. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always inspirational. He's always motivational, and he's a guy that leads by example. He doesn't tell you I'm the leader. He goes out and gets the job done. In 15 seasons, he's always gotten the job done.
If he's lazy,
it's just something that matters so much to this team. His presence in pads, his presence knowing that you're taking the field together. It's a lot of young kids on that defense. And the fact that not only could you rely on him to be vocal, to be someone that you watch do all the little things right, someone who emphasizes the details nonstop, the guy who elevates everybody else just by his presence, it's all of this combined. But he's also getting to the quarterback. He's also wrecking games. So it's a lot more than just the leadership. He's really doing it. He's a reason why Vic Fangio's defense looks the way it is this year. And he's no longer a part of it. So how is this defense going to show up against Baltimore? How is this defense going to continue now that they add Charles Harris and they have to run it with Jalix Hunt and some of the internal pieces? We'll talk about it. 215-592-9494. Let's go to Bernadette in Maple Shade to kick things off. What's up, Bernadette?
Hey, Brodes. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Just wanted to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Oh, you as well. Thank you so much. Same to you.
Yeah, it's really very sad and very emotional about what happened to Brendan Graham.
I know. It's really hard to digest it still, even though it's starting to become more of a reality as the days go on. Let me ask you, how do you feel knowing that he was so electric on the field? He's no longer obviously going to be on the field. Do you think that this team's okay without him? Do you think they'll find a way internally to get that production?
I think they'll find a way. I'm sure Nick Sirianni will have some tricks up his sleeves and in his little magic hat somewhere.
That magic hat scares me, Bernadette.
I know. Well, at least he's not doing that, the flower pot thing with the leaves growing and the petals. And
I know. Although it worked. So here we are ripping it, yet he actually got his team to play for it. But look, I'm with you. I think deep down, and I don't know if I'm just wearing the Eagles glasses and I want this to be the case, but I truly feel there's something growing and blossoming here with this group where when you have a special team and a special unit, more times than not, when adversity hits, you battle and you find a way. And if it's gross, but you make sure you do everything in your power to grind. And I think they have have that makeup. I do. So I'm with you. I think it's possible, but I'm just a little nervous about it.
I'm nervous too, but I think also if Jalen Hurts and Saquon keep going with their ritual and what they're doing with the pass rush and all that, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, that's possible. And Bernadette, thank you so much for the happy Thanksgiving and all the kind words. I think if Saquon and the offense continue to thrive, no doubt about it, it's just 300 yards. I don't know how much better they can thrive after you get 300-plus yards. But I'm with you. I do think that there's a recipe here. I do. Maybe this is just the Negadelphia in me. Maybe this is me getting upset because I finally started to believe, and then now I'm getting nervous because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. You're losing a massive pass rusher, and Vic Fangio's defense has been stellar because of him. I hate that I feel this way. I was so excited after that win against the Rams. I have notes and notes and notes about what makes me pumped up, thinking about this team and the backstretch run and what they could do to the opponent and how lethal they are in so many different areas. And I'm talking pages and pages and pages. And that's what I wanted to discuss. And then, of course, 5 seconds after the game's over, I got to rewrite everything, rip those pages up, throw them in the shredder, because part of the reason why I felt so confident is because of the DNA and the identity and the personality of Vic Fangio and what he created. Now, Vic Fangio is as great as we think he is, and I do think he is. Then he's going to have a trick up his sleeve. Maybe it's Milton Williams. Maybe you can get unique with Milton Williams. Maybe that's your answer. Maybe the door opens up for him because of the way Jalen Carter is ridiculous and he's commanding double teams and his effort is obviously forcing a lot of stress for the offensive line, which opens up matchups for other positions. And maybe you can look at Milton Williams and ask him to do some things. Maybe that's it. 215-592-9494. Are you worried about the pass rush without BG? Buzz producing today's show, first 2 hours. I am curious your thoughts on the Eagles moving forward without number 55.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it does suck. Here's a guy who, we lost Jason Kelce last year, fan favorite, and guy was playing at pretty close to the top of his game even on the way out. And he's still elected to retire, and now he's international celebrity and he's doing his thing, but whatever. And we sat here and wondered, man, how are the Eagles going to replace Jason Kelce on the offensive line? And the answer is you can't replace Jason Kelce. It's one tough act to follow. It's like, doing stand-up comedy in the club right after Jerry Seinfeld. They're playing guitar after Jimi Hendrix. Like, you just can't do it. But the level to which we've missed Jason Kelce, would you agree, has been like as minimal as humanly possible this year?
Yes.
I would not say that Cam Jurgens has been like some noticeable downgrade. When Jordan Mailata went out, Fred Johnson was not some noticeable downgrade. Business went as usual, and Jeff Stoutland, Coach Stoutland you, and that offensive line just keeps going business as usual. Like, this is such a talented team that I'm not overall too worried about losing Brandon Graham.
All right, so Buzz not too worried. I'm a little bit worried. It's not a full-on sound the alarms, the red alerts are flying through the building, and you got to get out of here, right? It's not one of those. But this defense has been insane, and this defense has been a joy. This defense has been stellar. And one of the main reasons why it's been stellar is because of BG's ability. So what can they do to actually make sure that they don't skip too much of a beat moving forward? Because reality is BG's not coming back this year, and they have to find a way somehow to get some serious production to keep the pressure on the Lions and to continue to get pressure on any quarterback that you're facing that particular week. 215-592-9494. Now that the dust is settled, as we look ahead, no Brandon Graham, it's a crazy loss. I'm a little worried about the pass rush. Are you worried at all about where this pass rush is without Brandon Graham? 215-592-9494. That's the phone number. And coming up next, we'll take a deeper dive with some players on the roster now that would need to step up up and, just ways to get creative with the roster to try our very best to have the success we're looking for with the defensive front. I'm Brodes. We're just getting started right here on 94 WIP. Getting into the Birds discussion and talking about their pass rush, and Brandon Graham in particular, and where this team is going to go now that you lost one of your biggest threats. Now that you lost one of your game wreckers. Are you worried about the pass rush without BG? Be honest. Are you a little bit worried? It doesn't have to be to the nth degree. It doesn't need to be to this, oh no, it's going to derail everything level. But is there anything in your gut saying, whew, this is going to be damn difficult. This is going to be tough. And let's be very clear. Saying it's going to be tough does not mean they can't do it. I think they can do it. It's just going to be very, very hard. Very hard. Brandon Graham's, they don't just walk into your organization. You don't just find them, especially after a trade deadline, off the street. I'm talking emotional leader. I'm talking on the field. They don't just walk on in to a NovaCare complex. So is there any fear that this pass rush skips a huge beat and can't find themselves after finally finding themselves over the last 3, 4, 5 weeks? Their defense have been established as a juggernaut. League-wide, people are talking about them as a force you don't even want to even be close to because they will suffocate you. They will swarm you. They're going to hit you. They're going to be in your face, and they are nonstop going to wear you down. And you won't score in second halves, and you see the adjustments they make. The first 2 drives were remarkable. Once they settle in, good luck. Good luck. And when Jalen Hurts isn't turning the football over, you're not getting short fields, right? You're not getting the ball 20 yards out from the end zone to start your drive. So when Jalen in the run game is putting in the work, and then this defense is able to rest as Saquon runs the ball, now they're in good shape. Now you want to double Jalen Carter. Who cares? We just had an 8-minute drive. Well, actually, with Saquon, it could be one play, 70 yards, and then they're right back out there on the field. But you get my point. They run the football. They work 5, 6, 7-minute drives. And then the defense comes out there fresh. They're forcing 3 and outs. They're doing all sorts of great things. Brandon Graham being a part of it. 215-592-9494. Are you a little bit worried without Brandon Graham? Now let's take a look at the internal ways that they can try and get this thing back on track. I guess back on track's the wrong way to say it, but you get my point. How they can kind of...
How they can keep it on track.
Yeah, keep it on track. Keep it on track. That's good. Could they give Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat? This is the very basic view on maybe how to handle it. And we'll walk through each one. Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat, can you just give them more snaps? If you just hand Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat, if you just give them more opportunities, does that equal they will just continue to eat the way they do? Or, and I'm just throwing everything out on the table here, if you give them more, the production eventually slips because what makes Nolan Smith good in this form of Nolan Smith is the snap count, is how they use him. It's the way they are asking him to play currently in the mold with Brandon Graham available. Is that why you're getting the level of play that you're getting from Nolan Smith? Same with Josh Sweat. Is it because of their snap count now, and that's why they are doing so well? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Because you have to try something, and that would probably be one of your first thoughts. So you can give them those snaps, and then, of course, you can react accordingly if it doesn't pan out the way you would like. So there's option 1. Option 2, Jalix Hunt becomes more of a factor. very projecty. Don't know if he's ready yet. But you got to remember, when you're in this type of situation, there is some form of desperation that comes in, where if someone's not ready, they may have to get thrown into the fire because you don't have any other options. You got to learn quick. That's how this league works. You got to maximize opportunities. And I like what Jalix Hunt brings to the table from an intrigue perspective. He's an intriguing, raw player. Big shoes to fill, but can you ask him to get more snaps for something here in this time of need? Maybe. I brought up Milton Williams. I think you can get creative with the way you use him, and that could be an option. Here's the easiest fix. And I just don't know if I can rely on it. But the easiest fix in the world would be if Bryce Huff comes back from injury and is what he was projected to be. Because he has been irrelevant. And this defense has been spectacular. If he can be a double-digit sack guy, if he could be what he was with the New York Jets, and even if it's you could pin your ears back on a passing down and that sort of it. Maybe Milton Williams early, Bryce Huff later in the drives, third downs in the drives, that type of thing. First and second down, you go with something else. If you could pin your ears back on an obvious passing down, maybe Bryce Huff goes out there. But you got to get some form of positive play out of Bryce Huff. To some degree, you have to. After he gets his whole wrist figured out, if he could slot in there and even in a rotation on passing downs, be a threat to get to the quarterback. Bryce Huff showing a pulse and Bryce Huff showing us life. That is the easiest fix because they've created this monster defensively essentially without him. So losing him, you didn't lose a beat because he didn't do anything to contribute to the heartbeat. That could be almost an addition. When you add someone new to the team, a Charles Harris, getting Bryce Huff competent could almost be a massive addition that you didn't even have. So those are your four options. Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat getting more snaps. Jalix Hunt becoming more of a person to utilize. Milton Williams and being creative with him. Or Bryce Huff. Those are your four. And I guess Charles Harris coming in here and just being good. But I don't know if I'm necessarily going to go in with me believing that's the case until proven otherwise. And maybe I'm scarred. There were a couple of other players we've tried that had decent resumes, and you can make the argument their resumes might have even been better than Charles Harris. But Kevin Byard, Shaq Leonard, Robert Quinn. We brought in some guys, and their resume was interesting, and then they got nothing left in the tank. There's also examples of going to get Linval Joseph, and he helped stop the run game when you desperately needed it. So there were times when you had to go this route, and it did pan out, and there were times when it didn't. We'll find out. That's also an easy fix, too. I just don't know if he's going to step in and be that threat automatically. Unless the rotation works and he's in good shape, he's in good condition, and you're able to utilize him in a rotation next to Jalen Carter and things open up. I'm not ruling it out. I'm looking for answers. But I'm a little bit nervous about this Brandon Graham thing. And I'm curious where you stand at 215-592-9494. Let's go to Tom in Alabama. What's up, Tom?
Yo, Brody. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. It's great to speak to you.
Yeah, man. Same to you. You know that.
You know that I'm a firm believer that through the draft is where you build your lines, and Howie Roseman has done well with that. Milton Williams, an example. But, you know, with Graham, that was a tough break. It really is. But, you know, I got to go back to something Sirianni said about when he did his deal. You know,
go ahead. We got you. Oh, no. Did we lose Tom?
Yo, you there?
Oh, yeah, we got you.
Okay, well, what I was saying was adversity could be dealt with usually in the wrong manner. But it seems that Sirianni has these guys where they deal with it in the right manner. Okay, well, somebody's going to have to step up. If nothing else, Bryce Huff can come in there and basically stop the run, if nothing else, which the Eagles have done. Besides the Cleveland game, they got 100 yards. Atlanta got 150, and Tampa got 111. The Eagles have stopped the run, and they're going to have to stop it Sunday at Henry, because whoever stops the run Sunday is probably going to win the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And look, having Brandon Graham's experience out there when you're facing a Lamar Jackson and a Derrick Henry combo, it would be nice to have something like that. Yeah, big time, with setting the edge and, making sure the quarterback's contained and just the information that he has consumed over all these years. Having that on the field, not having it is potentially result changing.
There's nothing you could do to fill that experience. The thing about it, though, is that offensive line, even from the Super Bowl two years ago, they are clearing land, and it would be a damn sin if they didn't win a world championship with a line like this, man. Aaron Rodgers made the comment 2 years ago, the best line I've seen in 20 years. This line is better. Jurgens has not gotten any accolades because if you don't hear his name, he's doing his job, and he's done his job. He stepped in for a Hall of Famer, man. And the coverage of the corners, Mitchell and DeJean, is what gives you that extra half a second to go in there and blow somebody up. And we are going to blow Lamar up come Sunday big time. We're going down 95 to take care of some business, brother.
I love it, Tom. I appreciate your call. I love it. I love the fire. So, look, maybe there's something to what Tom said at the end there. When you study how strong and how powerful our secondary has been, is it possible that their ability to force the quarterback to hold on to the football and to read through progressions because their defense is so tight and because the separation isn't there for these receivers, will that buy Nolan Smith time? Will that buy Jalix Hunt time? Can that buy even Charles Harris time? Is that something that can happen? Where maybe they're not as elite just looking at individual play. I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say Nolan Smith is better than Brandon Graham or Jalix Hunt is better than Brandon Graham. Nobody's going to say that. But can you say that if Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Zach Bond, and all of this great talent forces a quarterback to have to buy more time, Nolan Smith is good enough with that said time to pounce? Jalix Hunt, because of the tight coverage, has an extra second, and boom, he could beat his man because of it. The secondary does their job so well, and we understand how lethal they are as a group, that your edge rushers, they have the ability. Look, maybe by the end of this show, I feel significantly better about where we are as we talk about the ways that they can find success. And I think there are ways to do it. It's just we got to talk this puppy out.